Well, hello everybody and welcome back to A Year in the Woods. So today we're taking a drive down to Laddock near Truro, where we're going to spend the morning with John and Joe down at the Duchy Gunsmith. So that's a bit of a longer video, this one today. It's about an hour spent with the guys. Well worth a watch right the way through. We talk about steel shot, gun servicing, gun fit, different legislation and what's going on in the world of shooting. And these two guys have got a wealth of experience between them, and there are some real fascinating nuggets in there. So settle in, hope you enjoy this episode, and let's meet John and Joe. Well, welcome everyone. We're here with John and Joe from Duchy Gunsmith. Thanks very much for taking the time, lads. So,
no worries.
Tell me a little bit about yourselves. What's the history of the business? How long have you been here? What do you do?
I've lived here for 50 odd years. So it's the business has been up and running for approximately 6 years.
On 7 now,
probably 7, give or take. So, and in that time we started out, I say fairly small and compact, but as time's gone on, the business has grown and grown to the point that we are busier than bees, as it were. So
we cover all sorts of general gunsmithing, really. Shotguns, rifles, servicing, repairs, rebuilds. Do all our own in-house blacking, gun fits. Got a pattern plate, checkering, oil finishes. Just sort of run-of-the-mill general gunsmithing, really.
So pretty much start to finish. So if somebody's got a gun, they just want servicing before season,
we can do that.
Coming to you, anyone who's got any faults or any issues with a gun.
If we can't get the parts, we'll manufacture them in-house. We try and keep as much in-house as possible. Probably about 90%, maybe even 95% of what we do, all in-house, really. We only sort of select stuff out that we can't cover ourselves to specialists, but other than that, between the pair of us, we cover everything, really.
Brilliant. And do you work with proofing houses for reproof?
Oh yes, yeah. Anything that's required to be proofed by law or at the request of making sure insurance is covered.
Yes.
We tend to use Birmingham Proof House and send everything up there. And the lead time can vary depending on what they've got in, but but they're pretty handy if we need any advice, if there's any legislation changes. They're pretty good at keeping you in the loop, which is quite nice.
Well, that's good. Obviously, with the changes coming in, I mean, I guess, are you starting to see a lot of people having a look at their guns for the move to steel?
Yes, we've had it for probably since it first reared its ugly head. So
not as much as I've thought.
No,
obviously, I think more of a move towards it than before. When it wasn't an issue. But I think a lot of people are sort of waiting to see what happens. I know 2029, I think, was the year that's been sort of earmarked for the complete transition.
Yes.
But I think people are still sort of burying their heads in the sand a little bit and just seeing how it's all going to pan out. But then a lot of people have got one over and unders that are multi-choke and will take high-speed steel anyway. So
I think that's the key to it, isn't it? I mean, there seems to be a few scare stories and a lot of pushback.
I mean, we've reproofed older OUs, whatever, with fixed chokes and gone through high-speed steel proofing. So it's like most stuff will take it.
Yeah. So what's the gunsmith's take on that? What is a gun that can accept it? What is a no-no, and what might the options be if somebody has got maybe an older
no-nos
Damascus?
Well, I say no-nos Damascus for starters. So,
yeah.
But as long as the chokes aren't tighter than half,
yes.
they pass no.
So if you've got a fixed choke gun, you can bring it in, have those chokes altered.
Yeah.
We'll do them and open them up accordingly.
Open them up in house.
So am I right in thinking pretty much any gun built after 1955, is it?
Yes.
For standard steel.
If you want to push high-speed steel through it, I'd recommend people send it off to the proof house and get it.
And if it was built in 1955 or that sort of period thereafter, I would still get it checked, because that is 70 years ago now.
Yeah.
So
I think people forget that. Don't they?
you know, which is another thing. If there's any doubt, just make sure it's still in proof.
Check it.
And even if it's come out of proof, it could just be a case of having it sort of, you know, resubmitted, or a little bit of work done before resubmitting, and it, you know, probably pass the flying colours again, I'm sure. But yeah, if it's been around since then, and you've got any doubt, yeah, definitely get a competent local gunsmith to have a look. Yeah,
just to make sure you say not only your bores obviously, but just checking the walls are thick enough to take pressure, and all sorts of.
Because I think, like you said, you know, a gun that's 50, 60, 70 years old will have seen some wear and tear.
Yeah.
And it's even if it turns out to be still in proof, it's a good idea to have it mechanically checked out.
I mean, generally the worst one is, let's say, is basically stuff being left, and then expect it to work sort of come next season when all the grease and everything's gummed and dried up, and wonder why ejectors are not kicking out and such like. It's
yeah. Normally the horror stories are more sort of mechanical use than any sort of mechanical, you know, failure or it letting go or anything terrible happening. And yeah, it's normally just sticky ejectors is the worst you'll get. But yeah, definitely worth a check though either way, because if it has had 70 years of hard use, it yeah, probably worth looking at.
like all of us,
yeah,
70 years, you're doing a reaching. So what's the? We'll move on from it in a minute. But what's the cost of bringing a gun in, having it checked and reproofed, roughly, top of your head? If there was nothing else to do, up to the proof of the house, get it checked for the changing cartridge.
Well, we check it in. We check it in house.
We've got gauges.
You know, check the balls, check the chambers. You know, and make sure there's nothing obvious. And if it needs, you know, reproofing, it'll all depend on the work need doing. I think a proof itself is.
It's about 30, 40 £40 plus
Yeah,
that per
just for them
barrel,
to
something like that.
Yeah.
It's not.
Comes up to cartridge.
It's
not big money.
The money. It's not big money to
It'll
reproof.
cost the biggest
It's
cost carriage up and back. If it can be shared amongst other guns, it's not
That's
too
why
bad.
we try and back it up.
But yeah, as long as but if it doesn't need, if it, you know, if we go through it with a set of gauges and tools or whatnot, and finding it to be in proof, no need to have it checked.
Because I mean, that said, you pick up any major concerns, pitting or deformation or anything.
But that's why they stamp your barrels. You go off of the, you know, the pressures and the wall thicknesses and whatnot on there, and yeah, you just go off of that.
So the fear of sending an older gun in to be reproofed and the proofing process might damage it is pretty much irrelevant, because you'll pick that up.
Yeah, I mean,
pretty much this. You can't say
never say never.
No. And the thing is, and
if we think it will fail, we'll recommend that don't or take a different course. And if it's to the point that it's unsafe, then obviously, you know, it might be severe, you know, repair, or it may be beyond economical repair. But if we're convinced it will come back in pieces, we'll say, well, hang on a minute,
it's probably not worth it.
I'm not saying go out and use it and sell it to your mate down the pub or anything and pass it on, but you know it.
But rule of thumb is, it's like it's better if something fails in the proof house than basically failing at your fate.
Nobody gets hurt in the proof house.
No, exactly, and you know,
but you can decommission and
deactivate.
Somebody decides to go that way. Anyway.
Deactivate. Do all that in house and then send it up to them for submission for deacting. Then you come back with a nice little certificate to say it's a wall hanging and it's a lump of wood and metal, basically.
Yes,
so,
it's just plumbing then, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
And I guess the other thing with, you know, that people may get into an issue with, a lot of the high performance steel are now with 3-inch cartridges, and am I right? Most of the older guns will probably be 2.5,
2 or 3/4 if you're lucky.
So that's something that you really got to be careful, because you can fire a 3-inch through a 2.5-inch chamber.
What the problem, what most people perceive is when they look at their cartridge when it's in a loaded state, is they say, oh well, that's under 2 3/4. What actually is the cartridge when it's in the fired state or when it's raw.
Right. That
is how it's measured for its chamber length, is actually when the crimp is opened up. That is your measurement that you need to take into account.
And that's where a lot of the confusion comes from.
Yes.
So I think, oh, that fits in fine, and I've been using it for years. I mean, well, yeah, but
the problem is the crimp then goes into what we call the forcing cone.
Yes.
And because everything then is obviously being wedged and rammed in, that's when the pressures spike, and that's when you can suffer with ruptures. So if it says it'll take up to 3 inch, you know you can take a 3-inch cartridge. But if it says 2.5 or 65 mil, don't go beyond 67 mil at the most in cartridge, because after that you're just putting your crimp into the forcing cone. And you'll probably feel a hell of a lot more kick in your shoulder and on your cheek. And the best way to look at it is check the end of the cartridge. If you see the end is starting to rip up and feather, it's like you're too long.
You're too long.
Yeah.
And all that information is stamped on the barrels. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean,
and on the cartridge box.
on the cartridge box. The rule of thumb is any English side by side will be 2.5 inch. Your continental side by sides,
probably 2 3/4.
they're generally 2 3/4. They're measured at 70 mil because they're down to metric.
Most of your modern stuff, probably everything after 2012, you'd be looking at 3 inch. But still check the barrels.
So I think, good advice to people is, however long you've been using your gun for, or whether you bought it brand new or you inherited it from your uncle or whatever, is get it looked at, understand what the proof marks mean, what it's designed to shoot, and follow that.
And especially, like say, if you've inherited a gun that's been sitting in grandfather's case or cabinet for yonks, is probably that's the best time to have it stripped and pulled apart and checked, because everything's bound to be gummed up, possibly rusty and such like. So at least you know it's got a clean bill of health and such like. I mean, I say we've had stuff come in. It's like, it won't work. Well, I'm not surprised. This is just greasing that. We'll just
sat there for 40 years.
Nothing.
I think the thing is, if you're, whether you're clay shooting or game shooting, there's nothing worse than having a minor mechanical failure. If you're in a competition, that non-eject will put you right off. And if you lose a firing pin on an expensive drive, that's it. That's the day over.
So that I always carry a spare gun with me. If you're having a good day, if you're having a day out somewhere, just carry a spare. It doesn't matter what it is. It's better to have a gun that's a spare.
Yes.
Even if it's just a basic OU or something like that. Better than that than standing there trying to fire on one cartridge or on one barrel all day.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the thing is a firing pin can fail at any time.
It's one of the cost of a firing pin.
If we make one up, it's about 80 quid
sort of.
So
if we've got to turn one up.
Not when you're paying £70 a bird and bought 300 bird a day.
Basically, you say I mean, you say a bird is your firing pin, basically.
Give or take, really.
Give or take, in that sort of realm.
So like anything, if you don't service your car, it's going to let you down. Really, everybody should be in the habit of cleaning the gun when they get it home.
Yes.
And then at least once a year, in good time ahead of when they want it. Because obviously, even just looking around here, you've got a lot of work on the books.
We got 2 full racks. And we're just running constantly full all the time. It's just.
But your gun needs to come in for service. I think, John, we're going to have a look at later on what the innards of a gun looks like. That hasn't been touched for quite a while.
Yes.
But a general service, how long would that take you guys? How much notice would you need, and what's involved above and beyond, home cleaning, which usually is just, stuff the bronzer through, give it a bit of a squirt, put it back in the cupboard.
Yeah, I mean, time of year depends really. We always sort of say the sooner you get it in, the sooner you can have it back.
And work its way through the system, as it were.
I mean, we always sort of quote worst case scenario on time frame. You're normally probably looking at a month, 6 weeks.
Yeah.
But then if we get an afternoon open up, and we can fit it in, you don't want to start any large jobs or whatever, turnaround can be quite quick.
Yes.
But as long as there's, as long as you leave yourself a good month, 6 weeks, gap before any dates that you'd need it for.
Yeah. So be sensible.
We try and let's say try
and just let us know. Just let us know if you are bringing it in, or whoever you end up bringing it into. Just have a conversation and say, look, I hold my hand up. I've got a date on this day. What are the chances of this? And yeah, try not to leave it to the I can have it tomorrow sort of job. But
Yeah.
yeah, just
But it's really important then to sort of act on, if you've got that little niggle in the field, it's not ejecting quite how you expect it to, or maybe the triggers are feeling a little different, is to get it looked at
yeah.
sooner rather than later before it lets you in.
Especially, like say, if you start feeling one trigger go light, there's a good chance then you'll end up with a double discharge. And yeah, if you're no, you don't want that. So you can suddenly find out how much your shoulder's tested, especially if you're stuffing, I don't know, 32-gram loads through it or more. You then suddenly got 2.5 odd ounces of discharge into your shoulder. It's it takes people by surprise.
It's bound to happen when you haven't mounted quite right.
Yeah, yes, normally, and then you end up with that nice big purpley green.
Halfway down your bicep.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you said earlier you've got the pattern plate out the back.
Yes,
basically help people with gun fit and basically any modifications.
Yeah, I've got to say jig for bending stocks and that, so we can move stuff around. Basically, end up so basically the gun's shooting where you're actually looking.
Excellent.
That's the aim of the game.
Change your length of ball and fit pads. Yeah, if you want wood, horn, kickies or whatever.
Yes.
Whatever, range of
most people will have
there really.
Yeah, most people have a kickies because, let's say, it just soaks up a bit of recoil.
Yes.
It's just it's
probably the most cost-effective way of doing it.
I mean, let's say there are people that say with the side-by-sides are purists of running still on wood extensions and such like, so it's each their own. But generally, say most older gentlemen are probably not shooting big payloads anyway, so they're probably on sort of 28, 30-gram loads, so which are not super thumpy anyway. So
yes, and it's one thing I found. You buy a new gun, you're very proud of it. But it stays in the slip till you're on your own on peg, and nobody ever actually sees it.
No, I mean,
go what's comfortable.
It's basically
a lot of money spent on looks, and the closest most people get is about 30 yards away to it. So
I mean, you could have a bagel side by side in there or a purdy, and nobody would really be any wiser. I think it's just
and the pheasant won't know either.
No.
In the right place, it won't care. Right?
No. I mean, I always generally say to people if they're looking for a gun, I said, go travel around different dealers and whatever you can, and pick up different guns. And I say it's like if it feels right instinctively, generally it is. And the thing is not to worry too much if something's a bit too high in the cone, bit too low, or bit short. We can always tweak it.
Yeah, or any good local gunsmith really.
Most smiths will be able to sort of,
There's a bit of a stigma of people thinking they've got to pull the gun off the shelf and it'd be perfect. But if you like the gun, but it isn't quite right in fit, it's.
Well, we can't really do it with trousers, so
no,
would you expect to do it?
Yeah, 100%.
Would you be right? Would I be right in thinking that whilst gun fit is a very important part of using a gun, there's no such thing as perfect fit because it's a moving sport.
It's a moving sport. The body's always changing. We're all getting older constantly, which you can't stop. Gain weight, lose weight, physical injuries. Everything from hurting your legs to your shoulders to your hands. You're gonna or not at all.
Thin coat, and all these sorts of things.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, say you could be out shooting one day and shoot like an absolute god.
Yeah.
Next day, it's like you your back might be aching or sore or whatever. A couple of days later. And just the wheels fall off, and I say shooting is one of the most unforgiving sports. And it's just you take your good days with your bad days.
But if you can take any variables out, that does make a difference. So if you're desperate to improve,
if you can sort of
generally what we say with a gun fit is like bring in what you normally like to wear. If you're shooting in the winter months, and then say, okay, it's probably better to put up with a gun that's a little bit shorter, a bit too short in the summer, but is perfect fit for you in the winter, which is when you're going to do your majority of shooting.
I guess it's a bit like with a car seat, isn't it? You tend to drive better if it's adjusted. bit more closely to height
Yeah,
and
yeah.
arm length and all the rest of it.
And there's other things. I mean, let's say gun fit is quite critical, but it's also people's gun mounts as well. I mean,
Yes.
we've had people come in and say, "Oh, my mate says this is too short, too long for me." I said, "Well, actually, the gun's not too short or long for you. It's just your way you're standing and mounting is actually then
Yeah, a lot of
practicing."
bad habits. To be
Yeah,
fair.
yeah.
I think we all suffer from
Oh
that.
yeah, and ironing
Yeah.
out bad habits is harder to do than actually to, when somebody comes in and they're starting to learn, at least if you put them on the right path to start with, so much the better.
Definitely.
And like I say, the other thing is like I say, people spend an awful lot of money on a day shooting for pheasant and that.
Yeah.
Go and have some lessons as well. Have a
Couldn't
warm up
agree with you
before the
more.
season is just
Yes.
And
good
buy some nice cartridges.
Yeah.
Spend a fortune on guns and pheasants and boots and coats and trucks and dogs and that's the other caveat is Tesco's carry a bag full of licorice all sorts from 40 years ago.
Yeah.
So I just buy a fresh new slab and of dry.
That's it. I mean, the technology's
Yeah.
come on. The cartridge is always going to be the cheapest part of your day.
Definitely.
100%.
And
Yeah.
get good ones.
And
or ones you like, whatever your preference
yeah,
is. But
yeah. And the thing is, like say, if you found a cartridge combination that works with your gun, stick to it. Don't change it unless you absolutely have to or you can't get any more. But if you're used to using, I don't know, whatever in 5s or 6s of certain load and you get a reasonably good kill ratio, don't if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah. And me being controversial, the other thing I see quite a bit more on the clay ground than on the game ground, but it happens there as well, is people forever buggering around with their chokes.
Yeah, I mean,
I think if you really know what you're doing,
Yeah.
you can fine tune it. But I think a lot of us shooting duffers, it's another thing to blame your missus on, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's a reason why a lot of them bore the fixed chokes into 1/4.5.
Yeah.
You can't really go far wrong with that. If you've got a preference, shooting tighter or looser chokes. But if you've got to change your chokes on the day, you
unless you're suddenly going somewhere where they are tall birds and you think, oh blimey, I've only got 1/4.5 or whatever, and you think, well, perhaps I ought to go up to 3/4 and 4 if they're like absolute like starlings or whatever.
Yeah.
So
but
fair enough. But
there's some traction in it. But I've got a job to remember to put my tie on in the morning, let alone 3 chokes.
I'm
and
with
a
you on
key,
that. I think
must say,
I think the other thing we talked about steel earlier, not banging on about it, but steel, you've got 30% more balls in the cartridge, and they tend to pattern a bit tighter anyway. So
they definitely do pattern tighter.
Because they're true spheres. They don't deform as lead will deform in the ball. But
you probably have to shoot a heavier shot size than what you're used to.
That's it. They reckon go up one.
Because the density isn't there to give it the downrange kinetic striking energy, and that's. I mean, although it's ballistically superior, in actually hitting power, it's inferior because it hasn't got the density. So,
but you can mitigate that with tighter chokes if the gun will allow it.
Yeah.
Heavier shot sizes.
Bit more speed.
Yeah.
I know some of the Italian manufacturers are, a lot of barrel technology sort of coming out, different advancements in that to sort of improve the velocities, all the rest of it, and hitting power or stopping power of the steel. But in all fairness, I think your modern over and unders with multi choke that are all proof for high speed steel.
Yeah. I
think a bit of practice and unless you're shooting absolute screaming birds, from what we've sort of seen, it's
probably just get used to the adjustment phase if you have as and when you do. And I think probably time we get a couple of years down the line, cartridge manufacturers might have caught up a bit more. They might have got something that's very akin to lead. That we won't have to be in either the going down the bismuth route or the steel route. I mean, bismuth, fine if you want to mortgage your house, your wife, and your home and that to pay for a day's shooting. I mean, but it's because it's a rare earth metal. That's why it's so much.
Yeah, but I think
it's needed elsewhere. But then again, if you look at it and say, well, if you've got an old London best gun that you want to take out on a warm day and shoot a partridge drive, a box of bismuth,
it's not the end of the world. Exactly.
You're not going to go and shoot a 400-500 bird high pheasant day with it.
No. No.
anyway. So
No, and if you are on a high pheasant day, you're probably likely to have more of a modern OU with, chokes and weights and
3.5 inch chambers, and I think that's the thing. I think in time it will just
put
go
more payload in. So
more poke in the cartridge. Probably a longer cartridge, and the guns are just will be built to take it.
I think you're right. I think once the manufacturers, because they know that this is stopping. Once they tool up for the changes, and there's powder technology is changing.
Hopefully at the moment the steel is not a cost alternative at the moment. It's still dearer than buying normal leg cartridges. So
but they're getting closer.
Yeah, it's as things start ramping up for one thing, and that is as production runs go up. Maybe some of the smaller calibers will suffer.
But again, if there's demand for them,
it'll
get made. So moving on from shotguns, rifles. Obviously, can see behind you there's quite a few guns in. Rifle shot myself. I must admit, I do try and get my shotgun serviced every year, but tend to not be quite so diligent with the rifle. What's your recommendations to go to people?
I think basically rifles, they don't have the volume of
shot through them normally. It's a lot easier to do yourself at home. And if you're using factory ammo, and it's again you don't really get a lot of most rifles aren't that old in comparison.
Yes.
And to be honest, you normally know well in advance if it's knackered just by loss of accuracy. You're more likely to shoot the barrel out, or the barrel to become pitted beyond use, depending how well you do or don't maintain it.
Yeah.
But the volume is unless you're culling thousands of deer or a rifle club or a competitive shot,
PRL, something like that.
And if you are, you're normally pretty clued up on it all anyway.
And those guys are normally pretty anal on cleaning regime and everything.
If you're a sort of amateur stalker and fox shooter, and it. And again, if you got any doubts, just bring it in probably every few years. Probably if that really. For the use, there's not a lot to go wrong on them really.
Generally, that's it. If it's idle for a long period of time, the best thing you can do is clean the bore and put an oily patch up there, just stop it rusting, and take your moderator off. Do not leave the moderator off.
Absolutely.
That is your biggest barrel killer of all, is leave the mod on.
And the other telltale signs, if there is something going awry, you'll soon see by working the bolt and pressure signs on the case. If it starts getting stiff, or if you're getting obturations on your case and you don't know what's causing it, by all means bring it in. But if it isn't broke, don't fix it. That's the sort of take on the rifle shooting. Just keep them clean, take the mod off, and same, and leave.
And like everything, if you've been out in the wet, when you come in, dry it off as best you can.
Yes.
And then put it somewhere warm, not hot, warm, to dry out. Not unless you put it, you're like say 4 or 5 foot away, but basically gentle warmth to allow stuff to dry out, especially if you've got any wood or whatever, because heat will warp it quicker than you'd like to guess or imagine. We've had stuff in the past where people, I left the forend on the back of the radiator and I can't get it on my shotgun now. And then you look at it and it's like a hind leg off a donkey. It's like just allow it warm to dry out. And then most people with their rifles are running synthetic stops and stuff now. So
it's perhaps more prevalent with shotguns. I've seen people bring them into the hotel or wherever they're staying, or into the gunnery, and they'll just leave them in the sheepskin sleeve to sit there and slowly.
That's the worst thing to do, is leave it in a wet gun, in a wet slip, because you can take it out next morning and can be pretty brown, so
pretty orange,
or orange or whatever, and then wonder what the heck's going on. It's like if your sleeve's going to be inside your sleeves wet, it's like, so take it out.
That's probably a top tip there, is dry your slip out as well.
I mean, if I've been out wetter for the day, I'll hang the sleeve next to the log burner with it open, or if I can, try and turn it inside out. But if nothing else, is like say hang it up on something so the actual flap is open, so at least it allows the wool to dry out. And
I think
whatever.
if you're going on, multiple days, if you're lucky enough to have a couple of back-to-back days, or you're doing something,
I mean, if
you'll take 2 hats and 2 coats and 2
oh,
boots
definitely,
and 2 gun slips.
Yeah. And the thing is, like say, you can, if you're in a hotel or whatever, you can put open the gun sleeve up, put it over the radiator to dry it out while you're using the next one.
And even then, that's the beauty of a lot of guns come with a gun box anyway.
Yes.
Carry it or transport it in said box. Take a slip with you. Use a slip on the day. When you're back at the hotel or wherever you're leaving the gun, store it in the box. Gives you a chance to dry your slip out then, so you're not having to prop a gun up loose, uncovered, or leaving it in a wet slip. That'll be your easy answer. And most boxes come with cleaning kits in them anyway.
That's true.
A couple of rods, bottle of oil, enough to get you through, so you can push the barrels through, give it a wipe down, stick it in the box if you want to take the forend with you, if you want to, if it's required. Gives you a perfect chance to stick your slip over the radiator and have a few beers or whatever.
Next day or the trip.
And
the other one I've seen is, if you're out on a very cold day, which fortunately down in Cornwall we don't get so much, but up country they do, is you can bring your gun home, it's been a dry, cold day.
Condensation.
You put it straight in the cupboard, exactly, and the condensation in the building.
Yeah.
So again, I think it's important
basically,
wherever you can, let the gun...
any moisture in the air.
Wipe it and put it away.
Come up to temperature. The thing is you're bringing in, especially with metal. I mean, you're bringing it in from a cold environment. Well, as it's coming into a warm environment, the temperature change that's what causes the moisture in the air to condensate on your barrels and such like. So, and if it does condensate, is like say, break it down as best you can, wipe it off with some kitchen towel or whatever, and just let the gun or the barrels normalize to the inside temperature, and then wipe it off, spray some oil on it after it's dry, swab it through, whatever you need to do. That's half of it. Is like say, if you have been out cold, let it normalize and come in and come up to the room temperature, and then it'll you can dry it out easier. So
brilliant. Well, I think that's pretty much covered what people need to do to look after the guns they've invested money in. Are you guys happy? If people have got any questions, to either reach out online or give you a call?
Give us a shout.
Obviously then if it's something you both decide you need to have a look at the gun, or there's some work you can do on it.
Normally a favourite one is people say, I've got so and so wrong with it, and say, okay, well, how much is it going to cost? It's like, well, trying to picture something in your mind's eye and you don't exactly know. It's like, no, just bring it in. I think my firing pin's broke. Well, a chap brought a shotgun in. He said, I think one of my firing pins broken. Well, actually, it's not. It's they are worn, but there's a couple of other little problems with it. The firing pins are fine. It's just they're not. It's not
broke the mainspring or something. Any questions or queries? More welcome to pick the phone.
I mean, we can give people a ballpark sort of figure, but it's like I wouldn't know until actually we pulled it apart and looked at it. It's like, the firing pin's fine, but it's actually the hammer spring is broken. Not so bad with your OUs and your box locks, but generally your side locks should always leave them fired off on snap caps, basically to allow the V springs to sit at rest. Because V springs are prone for cracking and breaking. So
anything. You say, if in doubt, use snap caps.
And leave the hammer springs in a resting position. And the same you can do with on your rifle. You can people don't always say dry fire them, but you can generally decock your bolt, either decock your bolt, or normally what I mean most rifles is, if you've got the safety catch off, if as you're closing the bolt, hold on to the bolt and pull the trigger, and it'll actually decock itself if your bolt's staying in the gun. So
obviously making sure the gun's empty first.
Everything clear and empty all times. So yes,
safety's number one.
Oh yes,
Right, John. Well, my excuse for coming down was obviously you've just serviced my gun, brought it in earlier in the year, get it ready for the season. I was having a bit of a problem with some sticky ejectors. So talk me through what have we had to do with this one?
Well, I say obviously initially, you said obviously you wanted a service and having an intermittent ejection problem. So the first thing I actually did was took it out, test fired it, and checked to see what the problem was. And basically, it's like anything mechanical. There's always wear and tear.
Yeah.
And with this particular shotgun, the way it trips off the ejectors, there's actually a couple of little blocks that sit in under the fences of the barrels.
Right.
That a lot of your timing is done from the fore ends. A lot of over and unders, they have rods that sort of push through from the hammers, and then cause the arms to kick up and trip, and basically to trip your ejectors off.
Yes.
And they'll sort of sit on a lock or a hold, and then what it then as it does is as you're breaking the gun open, the timing is done from the fore end kickers and such like. So basically, then just allows them to basically flick on the ejectors.
Yes.
And with yours was basically just late. The timing was basically what we call timing. It was just late.
Right.
So basically, either you'd have to end up keep pulling it hard on full open, which is not good.
Yes.
Or rectify it. And what I actually did with this case is the two little pads that are worn down. I took them out, and then touched a little bit of TIG weld on the pads just to build them up, and then filed and polished them back to.
Yep.
And then basically a lot of things with ejector timing is put it together, try it, see what it's doing. If it's too quick, then need to take something off to slow it down. And a lot of it is time just gets swallowed up and called what we call fiddle and fit.
Yeah.
Is right. Yeah. Okay, that's not doing that. So you've got to take it apart again, take a bit more off, keep doing that until that works right. And then once I've got that sorted out, I could then pull everything apart. And like I say, the action, everything gets stripped out of the action, all the hammers, the springs, and same on all the fore end. We pull everything to bits. And
yes.
As you look over here, if you want to have a look at it, this is obviously it's a Italian side by side.
So this is fairly modern gun, but this is taken
all to bits, as you can see. So everything is broken down piecemeal.
Well, there's some earwax on those springs.
Yeah, you can see the gum and goo on it, and then you end up basically with, if you want to hold that so you can see the action to yourself or whatever.
See, yeah.
You probably. I haven't. I
don't know if hopefully you can see in there. There's quite a lot of staining and grease and grime.
Yeah.
And you're not going to go this deep for a home cleaning, are you?
No. No, you're not going to do anything like that. I mean, some people know how to take their stocks off, and maybe they'll then just give it a cursory spray over with some gun oil or whatever and take the worst off. But that is all they are going to do.
Yes.
I haven't finished completely. Obviously, I've got all the top lever and spring and everything to come out.
Sure.
So what you end up with is just a bare piece of iron, which then we clean and strip everything.
How much time does it take you to bring a gun down to pretty much its component parts for the
It depends on sort of what it is or whatever. Some are more fiddly than others. So it's like, some you can get them apart in sort of about half an hour or so. It's like, generally it's like if the phone's rung in between. So it's normally the favourite is like halfway into doing something and the phone goes. But it's all a bit of a variance. And sometimes if something hasn't been apart for a long time, and you've got a recalcitrant screw that doesn't want to move, and then
that can
that can kill a lot of time. And the worst one is obviously if it shears, then we've got to try and get the rest of the thread out, which is all
Yes,
there's all head scratching and vexing.
So without shaming the owner of this particular gun, how long do you think it's taken for it to get to this?
I think it's
how much use would you
say he's had a reasonable amount of use. Probably in this state, I'd probably say it's not had a service probably within the last 3 to 5 years.
So not long, really.
No. people say, well, how often should I service it? I said, well, it depends on how much you're out in bad weather.
Yep.
I mean, there's like
That's how much you use it.
yes, yeah. How many days?
A lot of this dirt will be where powder blows back in.
Yeah, and just stuff gets warmed up. I mean, you can say shotgun gets hot was obviously with use, so the grease will dry, and
Yes.
everything gets sort of crusty and dirty with just time and such like. So it's like everything is anything. I mean, generally, I mean, you don't get too much moisture ingress into a shotgun, but I mean,
but it can happen.
It can happen.
Yes.
And it's just one of those things. It's like anything. It's like your car when you're going out driving it. You come home. Some days it'd be like, it's just and same with guns because you're out in different places, dust and whatever you can gather, and you think, well, how the heck does it get in there? But
it finds a way.
It finds a way.
Yeah.
And yes, it's one of those. The trouble is, like say, if somebody's left something for over 10 years or whatever, and there's then trying to get into it is half the problem. Sometimes is screws get frozen in and rusted in, and that's normally
And I think when you look at it, we're pretty much all used to taking the gun into 3 bits and giving it a home clean.
Yeah.
But when you look at that's the number of moving parts.
Yeah.
I mean, there is quite a lot of that very deep in the gun you get to look at. So anything in there that is worn or corroded or gummed up or broken, that's what can let you down on a
that's right.
I mean, drive,
and that's right. And generally, I mean, what I'll do is I'll obviously strip everything down, and then let's say it'll all get washed and cleaned, and then I'll have basically look at it and checking sears and stuff for wear.
Yes.
Springs for any sign of compression. And normally other times if somebody brings in a gun in for service, you say, has it been giving you any problems? Going to say, oh, well, we get occasional this, or it does this from time to time. Yes. It's something I can then look at. If somebody says, no, everything's working fine, but just basically give it basically a clean bill of health. Yeah, give it a good clean and oil up and such like and grease up. And we tend to say it's like low bearing parts, such as your hook and your knuckle faces. Yes. I'd say to people is, put some grease on those parts.
Yes.
Other places can have oil on it, but it's like say the biggest thing you don't want to do is put mineral oil on your wood.
Yeah.
Because it'll soften it. So stick to either using wax on your wood or whatever.
Yes.
And let's say some of the sprays out there, they're saying they're safe to use on wood. I wouldn't deliberately spray them on wood. It generally, it's just it's one of those things. It's like your barrels, if they're if they're broken down like that, then yes, you can give it a good spray over and wipe it, push it through, and whatever you need to do. But yeah, try not to get too much on your woodwork. So.
Yeah. Because you see that a lot, don't you? People over oil the gun.
Yes, I mean it's
the heads, the stock, it starts darkening and softening.
Little and often is better than just lagging it once here and there. Yes. And I mean the other thing I always say to people is if you can, when I mean everybody's always like I say we see with the guns on the
roof. Barrels up or
barrels down generally.
Really?
The pure point of fact is that if the barrels are downwards, any oil that is, let's say if somebody's been overzealous with oiling or whatever, any oiling that's in the action, it's going to run forward and down the barrel. I mean, as you can say, you can just see the wood starting to darken there. Yep. Well, any oil is always going to sit on the wood, especially if somebody sprayed a load of oil on the action, and it makes the wood go soft in time, and because then split. Yes. So. Yeah, as a general rule, if you can, barrels down. I store all mine down, and even my rifles. I mean, I say.
Well, I'm naughty because mine are all barrels up. I'll have to change mine again.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's one of those things. If you can, but it's not always possible with the gun safe and space and all the rest of it.
Yes.
I just tend to and sometimes people will say, quick, if you've been out somewhere late or whatever, and the gun is still dirty, if the barrels are downwards, there's any powder residue or anything left in the bores, where they're going to go, it's going to go out through, it's going to go down away, so it's not going to be sitting against, it's not going to sit on your action, it's not going to, you're not going to get powder or any dirt or detritus in your firing pinholes or in your action, so it's, that's generally if you can, but I mean, it's not the be all and end all if you can't do it or haven't got space. So
Yes.
But yeah,
Practice.
yeah.
I guess, you know, when you're cleaning the gun, just check, like you showed on that gun there, just check your wood.
Yeah.
Those little fine cracks.
And the other little things people don't always pick up on, and they think, oh, is just see if the gun feels loose.
Yes.
On it shouldn't rock about. So it's one thing is, like say, is you know, if the gun's closed, you shouldn't feel any movement at all. So if you are feeling any movement, especially with an OU, it's tighten up the stock bolt. Or if you're not capable of doing that, bring it in and tighten it up, because you're more likely to split and damage your wood by a gun being loose.
Yes.
Well, as you can see here, there's a prime example of a bit too much oil in the action. It's
and in here.
and how that's making the wood go dark.
And that's that'll be an expensive.
Yeah, I mean, we can
like
let's say we can dry the wood out. So we'll I mean, if somebody brings a gun in for oil finish, we'll draw all the oil out of the woodwork because our oil.
So this is recoverable.
Yes, that's recoverable.
It can get to a point.
Oh, they can. I mean, I've had some guns where, let's say, all the sides and that are all completely, literally, almost black. You know, with oil.
Yes.
Takes longer to draw it out, obviously, but it can be done. So.
Yes.
And the thing is
where would you say is the major areas to look for any cracks in the stock?
Favourite on generally is anywhere around the back of the top strap.
Yes.
And then obviously round bottom by the trigger guards.
Yep.
OUs are normally favourite that if somebody's left it propped up and it's taken a slide sideways,
yep,
if they're going to go, they'll normally crack around here.
Yes.
And the other problem, if the gun's loose, if you get something like I'm just looking for a side by side with a pointy. Yeah. Favourite one of the side by sides is normally a lot of the top strap, the top tang. They're always normally going into a point, which is basically a perfect wood chisel.
Yeah.
And in time, as wood sets, and let's say if it gets soft with oil or whatever, you then basically get the metal driving into the wood, so then it'll start causing it to split or crack. Side locks normally will show around the horns, cracking maybe around the tight of the plates, because everybody always likes that perfect wood to metal fit. The thing is, obviously, that's all very well, but the tighter it is, as metal will expand quicker than wood, and if the wood won't allow it to give, it will cause stress cracking.
Yes.
Normally the favourite, the side locks, you can't see it until it's apart and the plates are off and the stock's off, is the horns will basically be splitting away from the base of the woodwork.
Yes.
Purely because there's very little wood there.
Yeah.
And a lot of time it's like we can probably put a little bit of glue to hold the wood, but you can't put any biscuits or anything in to reinforce it because there's just nothing there. Yeah. That's the price you. Yeah, the price you pay. Yeah, the price you pay for having a side lock. Yes, nice to have a side lock. But it's like, say you are taking all that material out. So it's like you end up, say, I mean, if you think how little. Well, you see, you can actually just see there. Yeah, it's just starting to
go. I can see, just running up into the teardrop.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a Henry Atkin, that one.
Beautiful gun, isn't it?
Yeah, lovely gun. But let's say it's like everything. It's like you will, you can find odd things. And let's say on the OUs, actually you just see a little tiny hairline.
Yeah.
Crack there. A lot of the time it's like wood can show a hairline crack, but actually when you look into it, it's probably just a surface thing. So it's but normally if I see a little hairline crack, I'll just try and ease the wood off of that stress point.
Yes. So if you're seeing anything like that on your gun, just bring it in. Get it checked over.
I mean, this is a quite a well-known Italian one. Was basically the chap dropped it, so. And it wasn't he was so it wasn't too good. I haven't finished this one yet, but as you can see, there is actually, when you look in the end, there's very little.
Very little wood,
Yeah,
isn't it?
so they're easy
Couple of
to. Yeah,
matchsticks width,
yeah,
isn't it, if that?
yeah. He'd been out and it had been wet, so he was starting to undo it, and he actually happened to drop the stock and then split the top parts off of those horns. But as I say, when you look in, there is very little there. I mean,
when you think about it, once you've got the action and 30 inches of barrels, you've got a hell of a long lever.
Yeah.
Working on that small bit of wood.
Yes, it is, and that's why it's always important to keep everything snugged up. Is because let's say it's just pulling it about. So I would say people don't realise actually how much wood isn't in a.
Yes.
And the thing is this is why OUs tend to break so easily, because there isn't much here.
No.
Time everything's channeled away, so it's easy for them that if they do take a fall, that's why they just always crack, and it's always generally fine. That's where they'll always go.
Yeah.
Because
is it right to say that the higher grades of wood are sometimes a bit more prone to cracking? Or
basically, it can. I mean, let's say there are some certain brands which have got high grade woods that are generally notorious for cracking. But the thing is what is figuring of wood? It's more knots. It's more imperfections in the wood.
Yes.
So you're going to have more potential for faults, shakes, splits, or whatever.
Yes.
Your best bit of wood is your cheap, nasty grade 1 or whatever, with the grain running right down straight. Yeah, literally running straight down through. It's going to be your strongest gun.
Yes.
But looks absolutely pants to look at generally a lot of the time, because
but then again, like we said earlier, the only person who looks at your gun is
you.
Yes.
And basically that is just personal preference.
Yes.
I've had some guns in the past with really good exhibition grade wood on it, and I was looking closely at it and seeing flaws in the wood, and I say to the owner, I said, what are you going to intend to do with that? Well, I'm just going to keep it for high days and holidays. I said, fine, do that, because there's potential here, or I can just see little hairline cracks starting to say, don't take it out in the rain, don't shoot the hell out of it or whatever. That's sometimes it's like, say, really good wood can be like an absolute nightmare. So it's like, it's one of those. I mean, and it's the thing is, like, say, all wood with burl and such like that. It's all knots, which is I mean,
it's inherently weak.
Yes, I mean, if you took that to a carpenter to make you something with, he'd be, I don't want that, and can't make it. It's like because of the.
Well, these days they dunk everything in resin, don't they?
Oh yeah. That's
now,
it.
I don't mind just going back to mine very quickly.
Yes. Cool. Yeah, you can say have a look at something blingy if you want to.
So on mine, on the back of the action here, we had a bit of corrosion. There were some little black marks.
Yeah.
What have you done in there? How have you dealt with that?
Well, basically, we got a sort of flexi drive sort of multi tool with that, and we used different sort of like polishing heads and wire wheels and mops and brushes and stuff. So basically, so I mean, once basically that had been stripped down to its bare bones, as it were, then sort of cleaned it up to clean the metalwork up. I mean, it was looking a bit dull.
It was a bit tired.
I mean, things.
Love for a while.
Yeah, I mean, it's like say, thing is your hands, and that will always make stuff dirty and grubby in time. So I just give it, I say, cursory going over, and just I think you said there was a little bit of corrosion around by the fences there, so just polish that out. So there was a little.
Like I said to you,
there's a little bit on on the trigger guard, some staining that I've removed as much as I possibly could. I mean, there's some still there on the trigger, but it's not actual. It's just a lot of it can be staining in the metalwork. So
yes, like I said, I didn't want it back factory new and shiny because it's an older gun.
Yeah,
that little bit of patina's nice.
Yeah, you don't.
It was a bit disfigured by those little marks of corrosion.
And the thing is just try and wipe your metalwork over with a bit of oily rag or something like that. So.
But don't do it yourself with wire brushes and a Dremel.
No, you could end up grinding all your engraving off and such like. So it's knowing what to apply, where to apply it, and how to apply it. It's not necessarily the time something takes. It's the knowledge of how to do something.
That's brilliant. Well, John, that's been really, really useful. I'm looking forward to using this one now when we're away this week.
Okay. Well, hopefully, I'll say all should be good for you. So I did. Took it out and test fired it this morning. I put a fair fair whack of cartridges through it, so just
Yes.
to make sure everything was doing.
Ideal. Right, well, I'm going to be really cheeky now and ask Joe to clean my gun, which because I was busy, popped in the cabinet last week and haven't cleaned. So, Joe, got my old Marook here. We used it on the day last Wednesday. Would you mind just talking through a end of day clean before you put it in the cabinet, where to grease, where to oil, what people should do as a bare minimum, just to make sure they got the best chance of the gun functioning?
Yeah, certainly, Evan. Well, obviously, if he's soaking wet, give that a wipe down, get any excess water off.
Yeah.
Check that he's unloaded, obviously. Strip it down into your 3 main component parts.
Yep.
And we'll start with the action. It doesn't have to be too fancy. I quite like using brass or copper brushes, old toothbrushes, any sort of dirt and detritus in there, a bit of unburnt powder.
Yep.
Get the worst of that out. If you've got an airline in the garage, try not to blow it in there, but if you want to give that a quick blast,
Yep.
Anything to get the, mud, straw, powder, whatever pasty crumbs, whatever
bits of feather and goodness knows what.
Bits of feather, goodness knows what. We use a lot of the Pro Firm stuff, but any sort of, any oil is better than no oil.
Yep.
Quick blast like that.
So very little, really. It's just a...
Less is more.
Yep.
I mean, this hasn't gotten wet. If it's gotten wet, you cover all a bit more thorough.
Yes.
Just give it a, get the worst of that, off. A lot of these oils are wood safe. I wouldn't soak the wood in it. I'd try and keep it to the metal. If the woodwork needs looking at, just your off the shelf sort of beadwax.
Yes.
For that, that's a bit of a different kettle of fish. But for just a general, home at the end of the day, get the worst of it off.
Yep.
We'll move on to the barrels.
So basically, with the modern oils, if you get a bit on your wood, it's not going to be a drama. But you definitely wouldn't recommend spraying the whole gun up and down.
I wouldn't chance fate and soak them in it.
Yes.
Because wood is obviously quite porous, and it will pull that in more so than your steel will. Barrels, good blast of oil down them.
Yep.
Same again. Anywhere where you might have touched with your hands.
Yep.
Some people are quite lucky and have dry hands. Some people not so much.
Yes.
And they'll get sort of what we call rusty fingers.
There's quite a bit of acid in your sweat, isn't there? That can damage it. Yeah.
It lint-free cloth, tissue, toilet roll, whatever you've got to hand.
Yep.
Again, just any excess dirt. If you need to get in there with your toothbrush, use the missus's one if you can. Spraying it down the bin, self-explanatory.
Sure.
If you need a wire out, wire wool, copper brush, get the worst of the muck out. All depends how far you want to take it, really, and how often you're shooting. I just find fairly cheap and ineffective bit of tissue paper down the barrel.
Really? And that's enough?
Just enough to get you through. It's quite clean in there.
Yeah.
Same on the bottom. If you're shooting daily, and it's just a quick, just a quick clean at the end of the day.
Yes.
It's not like you're putting it away for the summer.
Yep.
It gets the worst of the muck out.
Yeah.
Oil down your barrel. Back on the. I'll tell you what. Before you put it back on, grease your hinge. Doesn't matter again.
Always grease your hinge.
Yeah, that's a quote and a half. And anywhere where you got any bearing points, just put it. I don't know if you.
Yeah.
Anywhere where you got any.
So only a tiny little bit.
Just again, less is more. Anywhere we got any steel bearing, Bretters are obviously on the side.
Yep.
Maruku's Brownings are on the hook there.
Yep.
you know, side by sides on the hook, because it's a wearing part. The steel will wear a lot faster, steel on steel.
Yeah.
It and same with the fore end. To be honest with you, 9 times out of 10, not a lot to go wrong with them. That's where you get the worst of it, is in the in the hook there, or in the iron, I should say.
Yes. And it's quite a simple couple of brushes. You don't have to sit there and scrub the hell out of it,
It's just
do you?
a quick end of the day thing. I mean, if you want to, you know, better than watching EastEnders.
Yep.
You go to town on it, but it's just getting.
And then just really anywhere you see metal touch metal.
Yeah, anywhere you see metal touch metal, make sure it's dry, light coating of oil.
Yep.
Pour it on. Look, you know, a lot of people have got a tendency of slapping that in if that doesn't go in. Don't force it if it doesn't go.
Yeah.
Cause more harm than good.
Well, it's like IKEA furniture, isn't it? If you've got to force it, you've done something wrong.
Yeah, done something wrong.
Something's not right.
End of your bowels, because you've been touching them the whole time.
Yep.
Quick wipe over. And yeah, back in your cabinet. Job done.
Barrels down, job down. Brilliant. So there's no need to continually take your ejectors out, or take your chokes out, or I mean, like that one, check they're tight. Yeah.
Check they're tight. He's obviously worked loose. If you want to take them out and check they're tight, check they're clean.
Yeah.
By all means do so. But it's, you know, again, you're not, you know, this is just a quick cleaning at the day.
Yep.
Again, if it isn't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
Sometimes taking them out can cause more harm than good. So if they're in there and they're, you know, they're tight.
Yes.
And they haven't got soaking wet, leave them in
Leave
there.
them be. Yeah.
But
so really, just doing that after every time you've been out with it is going to extend the life of your gun. And
yeah, or just even, you know, end of the season, I sort of do that. You know, depends how busy you are, or how much shooting you've got lined up, or if it's a, you know, clay circuits you're hitting.
Yes.
But everything's got its own sort of season, hasn't it? Really, or time period.
Yes.
Whenever you know, just to get you through to what I call the end of your whatever it is you're doing, season as it were, and then, you know, if you want to have it serviced, you can. If you want to do it yourself and go through it properly, you know, and sort of cross your T's and dot your I's.
Yeah.
But just, you know, generic. You come home, it's late, you're tired, the dog's been fed, and you're waiting to feed yourself. Quick wipe over.
Quick 5 minutes back in the cabinet, and you held it at bay.
Held at bay, and should buy a bit of time till next time.
Fantastic, Joe. That's brilliant, mate. Thank you very much.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Showing us through that. Well, my sincere thanks to Joe and to John there for giving up quite a bit of their time to sit down and have a chat with me. Covered an awful lot of ground there. There were some very interesting things in there that I wasn't aware of, didn't know. So hopefully for all of you guys out there watching, there's something you picked up, something useful. I mean, the skills these guys have and the experience between them is pretty incredible. There's not very much these lads don't know about guns. So again, hats off, big thanks to them. Thanks for letting me come down and ask stupid questions. So I hope you guys have enjoyed that one. We've got a couple of others in the pipeline. We're hoping to spend some time with some experts in their field. Let us know in the comments. Please do click like, share and subscribe if you haven't already. That's going to really help us get out and about and get these done. Anyway, thanks so much for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it, and catch you on the next episode. Near,
nice.
So it's part. I think there's a bit of it's sort of a shortening of Celtic Neve.
Yeah.
But it's also because Jake Kudu is the gun dog name, and he's got some African connections. So apparently it's Swahili as well.
Oh wow.
I think it means run the fuck away, probably.
Yeah.
Disobedient little cow.
Him gone over hill, massa.
Absolutely, near or far.
Far is like next continent.
Yeah.
Near is like this continent.
This bloody thing.
Yeah.